This type of position shows students that doors are open and that opportunities are there, and there is a person in their corner who believes in them.
I thought about this question a lot, and I wondered what I was going to say. I had a girl, she's in my cohort, who really had a tough time. I can't get into some of the things but just really a tough time. She's now a student at Tennessee Tech. We keep in touch, and she's doing good, and it just does your heart good to see a kid that was really challenged, especially her first few years of high school. She was on a bad path. She was in trouble. She didn't know what she wanted to do. Didn't get a lot of support at home. There's a lot of factors that she could have got off the path pretty easy and went down the wrong road, but she's really done good thus far, and fingers crossed she keeps going, and I think she will. She's very determined now.
I have one student in particular that comes to mind, a young man that is from a very low socioeconomic background and was actually quite problematic in middle school. When he came to me at the beginning of the grant as a 7th grader, and as an 8th grader, it was one of those so-and-so teacher is going and they'll watch him just so he could, be allowed to go. And we found that he had a love for cooking as he came to our high school. And through the culinary arts department, our culinary arts teacher was instrumental in that, and some other people in the community. Gear Up, we fundraised, and the culinary department fundraised. The school, we sent him to a culinary school in California. He worked very, very hard to get accepted. He went out there on his own. He had never been out of the state. He had never been anywhere on a plane, and went by himself, stayed in housing. He was gone for 3 weeks. And when he came back, it just totally transformed him. And he is now at Walters State in Sevierville at culinary school. He has worked in a restaurant there locally. He worked for a long time at Dollywood, cooking in one of their venues, and he has just made everything worthwhile for all the teachers that have helped him get there.
One of my success stories is a student that's in our cohort who is currently at East Tennessee State University. She is a first-generation college student, and when we took her to tour ETSU a few years ago, she immediately fell in love with the campus and could see herself there. But because her parents have never gone off to college, they were afraid for her to go that far away. It's about 3.5 hours from where we're at to ETSU. And she kept coming and meeting with me and really wanting to pursue her opportunities at ETSU, but dealing with the fact that her parents didn't even want to go tour it at first with her. They were just afraid of her going that far away. We just started with little baby steps, and thankfully, it was a family that I was able to work closely with and continue to help them to learn more about the college and everything that was there. And eventually, they decided to go with her and tour the school and saw everything that she saw in it. And she is now there in her 2nd semester. She has a 4.0, and she is really thriving and excelling. And I see her younger brother now also wanting to follow in her footsteps.
I won't name her, however, we'll just call her H. Miss H was homeless every year since I met her. And when I first met her, she really just did not have a plan for the future. She wanted to drop out of school. Of course, I spoke with the counselor and we got together, and moving forward, we just made sure that she had everything that she needed. We made sure that she had somewhere to stay, contacting a relative. And by the time she got to her senior year, we made sure that she had everything that she needed as pertaining to her senior year to be successful, doubled back, making sure that she had all of her credits so we wouldn't have any issues with graduation. And now she is a successful student in a nursing program at an HBCU.
The student that I'm always going to think of is a student that I had at the school I started with, and he was a homeless student. He had lost one of his parents. The other parent was living in a camper type situation, and so this student had a very high ACT score, very high GPA, and he was going to go to college, and so there was no doubt in his mind that that's what he was going to do. But the rep at the university at the time really saw the need for this student and saw the potential, and so we worked together to make sure that that student had what they needed. We made sure that he had transportation, to school when they started. We made sure that he applied for all the grants and scholarships that he could, and he graduated this past December, and his goal is to be a college professor.
I have a student who chose to attend our middle college program through our partnership with Rome State Community College. She lived with her grandmother, and her parents were in prison in 2 different states for drugs. As I worked with this young lady on her college applications, we began to talk about the QuestBridge program. She was the perfect candidate, high achiever, big ACT, had become a tutor in chemistry at Rome State at the age of 17 because she was such a fantastic chemistry student. She applied for QuestBridge and applied to all of our Tennessee schools as well, was accepted, and is attending Wellesley up in Massachusetts. So this young lady left her home, took a full scholarship, and went to the 2nd-ranked liberal arts school in the country.
I'm going to talk about one from this year, so I'm not exactly sure how his story is going to end. He was a difficult student, to say the least. He was the class clown, but I knew that he wanted attention because he needed it, and he needed it in a positive way. Last year, over the summer, he took a job with one of my really close friends who owns a welding business. I had no idea that that was going to happen, and one day my friend calls me and says, "Hey, do you know this kid? He goes to Polk County High School." And I said, "I absolutely do. How do you know him? What's the story?" And just through a friend of a friend, he ended up getting a job at this place. This kid was going to drop out that summer. He was not going to come back senior year. And through his job and that person caring and knowing me and reaching out, I was able to talk to him in August before school started, or maybe at the end of July 2023. And I said, let me help you. Let me help you put on a gown May 2024 and walk across that graduation stage, and I'll be standing there to hand you your diploma, and I want to do that for you. And he said, okay, we'll do it. And so he did, and he came back, and he wanted to go on work-based learning so he could go to this job. And I said, well, you've got to finish your credit recovery. So he got finished with his credit recovery in a record time. And remember, he had not been a great student and he had failed some classes. And I said, we've got a goal, we've got a plan. In the meanwhile, working at this company where they did welding, he said, okay, I need to know more. I need to be a better welder. I want to go to TCAT. And so, me thinking, going from this kid who was going to drop out, now I'm taking him to TCAT. I'm helping him fill out his application. He's doing his interview there. Fingers crossed that he will, he's passing everything now. He'll finish, he'll walk across that stage in May, and then he'll start in TCAT and be able to finish.
We have a student who, during COVID, was in a economically disadvantaged situation. It was he and his mother, and so we at the district level helped to get him established so far as his dual enrollment classes. We got him the internet going so that he could continue, because he was having to, fortunately enough, he lived close enough to one of our elementary schools that he was going and sitting in the parking lot and would get on their Wi-Fi to thus complete his coursework. He is in his 3rd year, about to finish and go into his 4th year at Sewanee. And that's not where it stops. His mother also went back through the Reconnect and went to TCAT, and she is one of the legal assistants for a local judge in our district. So not only did it affect him, it also helped his mother and just their whole situation. It changed their lives.